Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Higher Ed AV Podcast. I am Mike Peterson, and I'm going to be your host today. We are in beautiful Barcelona, Spain at the ISE 2023 trade show, and we are excited to be here and bring you all of the best higher education coverage from the show. With me today, I have Caroline Pepper, so we're excited to have her. Caroline, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Caroline Pepper. I'm from the University of Birmingham. Been there for 2 years in more of a space management role rather than directly involved in AV. But I've come out as Vice Chair of SCOMS, and that's a professional organisation similar to what used to be CCUMC, that's now ETC, but smaller. And we are doing a hosted buyer scheme, so we bought out 38 members of different universities across the UK, and we've set up a number of presentations for them and have funded it. So my role is more organising this year, which is why I haven't got a chance to have a look around all of the halls yet. In fact, I haven't even been in 2 halls yet. But I'll endeavour to walk very quickly.
Well, there's a lot of vendors to be seen here at the ISE show, so we're all going to have to walk very quickly to see very much. All right, well, tell me more about SCOMS. A big part of our audience is based in the United States, and so they may not be familiar. So
SCOMS used to stand for the Standing Conference for Heads of Media Services, and that was where AV originated from. Back in 2000, I'm old, I've been in post many, many years. Back in 2000, there was a restructuring across the UK, and a lot of what was the traditional media services departments got carved up and moved into other different areas. And our members are generally based within the IT department, but can be in estates, which from conversations with American colleagues, that's your facilities.
Correct.
But we also have members that sit within the library and information services. So we deliver a wide range of services, but essentially we are the people that support the delivery of teaching.
Okay.
So that is basically what SCOMS is. We've got 103 members at the moment. We've got mostly in the UK, between Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, only a couple in Northern Ireland, Wales, and then we've got Malta, University of Hong Kong, Gibraltar, and a few sort of satellite international members. So that's us, that's SCOMS.
Okay, that's fantastic. Sounds like you've been involved with them for a while then?
Oh, many, many years, yes. Yeah, I think my first SCOMS conference was in 2009, and that was my first ISE conference as well, which was, obviously when it was in Amsterdam in the early years before it got really big and really expensive.
Right.
And then I'd been consecutively every year until, I went in 2020 before we got locked down, and then I came out to ISE in May to do a recce just to see, and actually I think it's a much better location in terms of being able to navigate across the show floor.
Absolutely. All right, so as you've said, you haven't had a lot of time to see the show floor yet, but what types of things might you be looking for on the show floor?
Oh, very good question. My objective, and I can't leave here until I've gone, is to go and visit Igloo. So I'm working on a project at the moment. The University of Birmingham, we have got a huge capital programme. We'll be delivering 1 billion project over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So to do that, and because my role is very much within the estates department, we're looking at ways of projecting floor plans into buildings. So clients can have a wander around and actually feel the space, the size, the dimensions. So our director of estates wanted us to create something in a very large hall. From a space perspective, we don't have large halls that sit empty or a big warehouse. And so we looked at, well, could we put multiple projection within a sports hall? That wouldn't work either because they'd all be out of sync, and so I think Igloo or one of those type solutions will be the answer, that we can take somebody in as more of an immersive experience. So that is my plan. I have to go there today because I'm not here tomorrow. But other than that, I think the good thing about ISE is just not having an itinerary for a couple of hours and wandering, because you come up with the most weird and wonderful things that you think, actually that'd be a really good application for my university. You know, and that it may be a supplier that you can't purchase in your country, but you know, it gives you ideas. And sometimes you come away with them and then sort of 6 months later you think, that piece of technology that I saw, you know, that's the application that I need it for, rather than coming out and going, I need to solve a problem with something. Always be open-minded at ISE. That's the best approach. But also, I think it's a really good networking opportunity. I mean, I haven't seen you since, what was it, October in Orlando? And it's just great to catch up with you.
Absolutely.
And we're all working in universities, and we're all experiencing the same type of issues, and it's just cathartic to talk to people and catch up and network.
Our people. That's what I say a lot when they, well, what's the best thing about a trade show? It's like, well, it's the people. It's the best thing about a trade show. Getting to see folks and having that interaction. Absolutely, 100%. So
can I throw it back at you? What are you looking for at the show? When you get a few minutes to wander around.
Well, there's a couple of hardware bits that I'm always on the eye for. You know, we see USB-C as being, you know, the next generation of video connection, and so, you know, really I'm looking for an industrial all-in-one docking station effectively, or we can make one connection to a computer and we can get video out and we can get audio in and out, and we get some USB connectivity for various things, but just single connection. Ideally it powers the laptop too, and you know, there's things that are close out there yet, but I don't know if we've found just the right one, so we're continuing to look for those types of things. And of course, I continue to see the growth of AV over IP continuing to be the pathway forward. So, you know, any kind of improvements there, I'll probably run by the IPMX booth. I think that could be an up-and-coming protocol that could be very powerful. So.
And how far has your university gone down the AV over IP route?
Yeah, we have 2 buildings that are pretty much fully AV over IP now. 2 new constructions. We have our Student Innovation Center, which is pretty much all run with an AV over IP solution, and then likewise we have an athletic building, the Stark Performance Center, which is also fully AV over IP throughout. So we've got our foot clearly in the ring there already, and so far they've been really robust and reliable, and so I had my doubts, I will admit, but they've been working great, so it's definitely something we're going to continue to push forward.
Okay, and another question for you, where do you think in American universities would you put your institution in terms of progression?
Oh, we're probably a little bit further down the path toward sizable implementations than others. I think most universities at this point in the United States have some proof of concept somewhere, a few endpoints that they're experimenting with. But as far as having whole buildings operating on it, I think, you know, we're still one of a handful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. How about now? Now I'm going to throw that back to you. Are you seeing that growth here in Europe or in the UK?
We are, and I think it's driven by new builds because that is the opportunity to do it. And so it depends where universities are and what their campus looks like and the maturity of it. I think the University of Birmingham's got a long way to go. I'm actually doing some analysis at the moment on teaching spaces.
Yeah.
My role is, and I've got an apprentice who is a data analyst. So we're crunching the numbers at the moment with student modules versus teaching space, just to see what the campus needs to look like for the future.
Yeah.
But I think the issue is, if you've got an aging campus, it's difficult to get that infrastructure in, and it takes time, and it takes money, and other priorities came in.
Yeah.
High flex teaching. That had to be, and I think I'm a little bit concerned that we all had to react so quickly to get our campuses back up and running, and we did, and we all evolved, and I think complacency is now creeping in that there is a chance that we'll sort of go back to kind of being reactive and not looking out for those technologies to be able to support a more collaborative approach to teaching and learning.
Yeah, I've said several times that I think many schools during the pandemic implemented what I would call emergency remote learning, but they didn't really implement a well thought out, well designed hybrid learning solution. They were just like panic mode. Hey, we got to get something in the room that we can get something off campus without a lot of that pre-planning, because there just wasn't time. We were just in a mode. So yeah, I think it's good opportunity for a lot of schools to continue to stop and think, okay, if we were going to do this from scratch and do this right, what would it actually look like at this point? So absolutely. So all right. You've been to the ISE show many times, I assume?
Yeah, far too many.
Far too many?
I was talking to a colleague that I bumped into, one of the integrators, and he said, Caroline, I'm getting old. I've been here for so many years. And I said, yeah, you and me both.
Yeah. So you said you do like the Barcelona location better. So.
Oh, much, yeah. Well, Amsterdam in February could be -10.
Yeah.
It's nice here. It's nice, and it's a lovely city to get about, isn't it? And the tapas is just fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. So you say that you focus on estates a lot.
Yeah.
What are some of the what are some of the big issues that you're facing now? From an estates perspective. What are some of the hot topics that you discuss?
Okay. Adapting buildings. That's the challenge, and because a lot of us have got an aging estate. I mean, the University of Birmingham goes back to 1909.
Yeah.
And a lot of our buildings have got listed building status. So you can't go and just install stuff. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And even I'm working on a wayfinding project at the moment for a collection of buildings in what we call Aston Webb, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but is evolved organically. So it means that the students navigating through the buildings, even the way that the rooms are labelled and signed show differently on the timetable.
Yep.
The more that we dug into it, the more that we found. So we use a numeric coding. The building's numbered, the floor's numbered, everything's numbered. We know it, but it's not how everyone else sees it, nor should they, because you don't retain a number. And alphanumeric coding is better, but as part of that project, even things like digital signage, we need to put digital signage here. We've got a student hub, we've got high footfall, we can't do it. So those are some of the challenges I think that we're working with. And it's and something that I think we've all faced is getting hold of equipment.
Sure.
That install window of what used to be sort of June through to September has slowly been squeezed because we have other activities, and the University of Birmingham hosted the Commonwealth Games this year, which was absolutely fantastic, but the whole campus got locked down, and just trying to get contractors on site to deliver stuff can be really challenging.
Yeah.
So, but I think from my perspective, the biggest challenge that I have is the AV team are based in one department, the timetabling team are based in another, the learning space development manager is in another, and I'm in estates.
Right.
So everyone just goes off and does their own thing. It's not it's not holistic, it's not joined up.
Yeah.
It will be in time, but yeah, that I think is an issue, and I think other universities face the same as well, because they've been carved up, restructured, and then things don't quite fit, and you lose that connection, especially if you're an AV team that sits within the estates or facilities department. You need that direct connection with IT, because you've got to work in partnership, and it's something that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of schools here in the United States, the AV team isn't even in the IT department. They're in some academic department, and so, yeah, it just becomes a challenge for them. I'm fortunate that our team, we are based in the IT department, and so at least that connection is easy to maintain.
In the UK, there are universities that most of them have centralised their resources and their teaching spaces. Is that the same in the US, or where are you on that journey? Because centralisation makes complete sense, but if you're saying that you've got some AV teams sitting within academic departments,
yep,
is that the norm?
I think. I think there's a wide range in the United States, but no, I don't think it's uncommon at all to have that kind of experience. At our university, we have various colleges, and then they have departments, and we have a central IT team, but sometimes colleges or departments have their own IT staff that don't report through the central IT structure, and so we need to have those interactions. And we do what we can. We host regular meetings that all the IT folk are invited to throughout the campus, and we get those interactions that way. But yeah, it's an ongoing challenge to I think centralized. I agree. I've often said I think things would be a lot better if we were one IT for the whole university, and so we'll see. Hopefully that'll come
from a consistency perspective.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, the other thing that I'm facing as far as the collaboration thing is, I would love to have continued more collaboration with the academic designers and the course designers. We're just kind of putting AV out there, and hoping that it's what the teachers need to teach the way they want. But what I'd really rather do is have the faculty say, I want to teach this way, and this is the technology that would enable me to do that. And then we can provide the technology that best meets the way they want to teach, their pedagogy, instead of forcing them to change their pedagogy to the technology that exists. We really would like to flip that script that way. So I'm looking forward to continuing to have those conversations and trying to build those relationships with those individuals at our university. So.
I think it's easier said than done, though, because actually it's our job to kind of know and understand and piece it together. But if you take somebody into a teaching room, or you're planning on designing a teaching room, and you say, what does it look like? And they'll say, well, it's state of the art. Define state of the art. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Let's get down to the detail here. And sometimes they don't know. And slightly off topic, this is it is teaching space. We have a large medical school.
Sure.
So I'm working on a clinical skills building at the moment, which is wet labs, e-labs, autopsy labs, that sort of thing. And we got all of the key academics, the School of Pharmacy, they're there, and they want to create all these different spaces, but they think from their own perspective, as they should. And I think that the challenge is to sort of say to them, well, how can the wet labs share with the e-labs, from a space efficiency perspective? And the initial response is we can't. But you can do it. And I had a lot of conversations with the autopsy team to say to them, well, what happens in here beyond the obvious?
Right.
What do you actually do? How are the students being taught? How are they working? And they will say, well, we've been allocated a teaching slot of 6 hours. And their response is, but we need to be in the basement because we can't be seen for what we're doing. But actually, if you're in a room for 6 hours, you need natural light.
Right.
You absolutely need natural light.
Yeah.
And those are sort of things, well, we don't have to put you in the basement. We're designing this building. We design it and we just have obscured glass. You still get the benefits of natural light in there.
Right.
It's sort of those things. But also, I think my role is to try and piece it together. So I will also say to them, what does the balance space look like? What's the circulation? Are people having informal study if they're there?
Yeah.
If they are, what are the student numbers? Do we need any kind of prayer space? If we do we need wudu facilities? Those sort of things that, and in a project, it's the key clients are very focused on what they want, and you find that with the academics as well.
Right.
They know messages that they need to deliver, but sometimes they don't know how they're going to deliver it.
Right.
And that's why they rely on the AV teams and the technology enhancement teams to kind of say, well, you've got this option or you've got this option. How does that work for your teaching style? But then you've also got the added issue that, yes, you can support them, you can provide that technology, but timetabling has to put them in that room to make it all work.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a challenge.
Oh, yep, definitely. I love that about, the time to, for us, it's the scheduling department, we would say. So classroom scheduling, we have several really unique classrooms. We have a classroom that's designed with all the seating in a circle, a classroom in the round. It's really designed for in-depth student-to-student, discussions and interactions where all the students can see each other. But we only have one of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it becomes a challenge.
Now you've got to manage people's expectations.
Correct. Yep. Because we can only schedule so many classes in that space.
And you will find that the schedulers or timetablers, as we call them, usually will allocate on capacity.
Yes.
Now, I found this. We designed what we called was a Harvard hybrid. So it was actually based on the metaphor of the Giant's Causeway. Of different levels.
Yeah.
And the architect was kind of out there, and he was like, just go with it, we'll get through this, and we did. And actually, we went on tour in the end afterwards and started kind of promoting the benefits of it. And most universities now have a Harvard hybrid. But I remember taking the academics in to start with, and I said, right. And one lecturer who was based in the design school where this lecture theatre was, walked in and said, Caroline, I can't teach in here. And it was almost starting to hyperventilate because he was one of these person that did the Dick Turpin stand and deliver style presentation, and he couldn't cope with people being around him.
Sure.
And although it's more interactive and more immersive for his teaching style, he couldn't cope with that. And it was a case of, well, we need now to talk to timetabling to get moved somewhere else because this is not going to work.
Yep. So, absolutely. Running out of questions to ask.
Okay. Well, I've got one question for you.
Perfect.
What do you think will be your biggest challenge next year?
Well, you kind of mentioned the ongoing challenge is still, how do we get the equipment in time to do what we need to do? And
But the supply chain's not starting to speed up.
Well, some things are, some things aren't. It's really hit and miss. But you really only need one key piece that's missing. You can have all the rest, but if you have that one, key controller or central switcher that's missing, then it doesn't matter. Well, all the other gear showed up on time. So that's still an ongoing challenge for us to maintain. Again, I think the ongoing struggle for many universities, including us, is just budget, right? Continuing.
Oh, the B word.
Continuing to.
It's almost as bad as the F word, which for me is flexibility.
Uh-huh.
When you go into a space and you say, what do you want this space for? And then, we want it to be flexible. What does that mean? Sorry, anyway, yes, going back to your B word.
Yeah. So, it's just an ongoing struggle. I mean, we, a lot of our classroom technology is out of date. We've certainly been making a lot of headway on it, but with the amount of money currently allocated, we're looking at a 10 to 12 year refresh cycle, and that's really long, especially as quickly as technology is continuing to change and progress. And so, it's just an ongoing challenge to have those conversations with the senior leadership of the university and share the needs and challenges there, and continue to work to get more budget.
And have you got inroads? Are you able to talk to the senior members of the university?
Yes, I have, and so I'm not sure it's been that successful yet, but yes, I'm at least I do get access. I've been able to. There's what's called the Provost Council, and it's basically the deans of all the colleges, and I've been able to present to them, and again, they were extremely receptive. Yes, this all makes sense. We understand. It should be doable, and still nothing changes. So it's just okay. We'll just continue to fight that fight. So yeah, I think those are probably a couple of the biggest challenges that we're facing. And I guess they're common among most schools still. Yeah. So how about you? What do you see as your biggest challenges coming into 2023?
My biggest challenge, I think, over the next couple of years is the amount of projects that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I think on my list at the moment there's about 37.
Yep.
And growing. And it's just having the resources to be able to actually deliver those effectively and not cut corners.
Right.
So.
How do you guys manage project management there? Do you have a project management office, or do you just have a series of project managers?
Yeah, and I'm based within the project management office. So
Okay.
we've got a whole load of project managers, we've got some architects, quantity surveyors, and we have also got a preferred tender framework as well for our
Nice.
contractors. So we've got a good relationship with them. And in fact, I went off to Birmingham has got properties all over the place, random properties that we're still finding. So we've got an observatory in Australia that one academic kind of came forward and said, we've got to manage this. It's like, what? We don't even know this exists. And we've also got a beautiful spot in the Lake District. It's like an outward bound centre. So every year the estates department go with our partners and we do a whole load of team building, which was fantastic this year, although it was very cold. And then on one day we had to sign up to do an activity of our choice, and I did the gorge walking.
Yeah.
So full wetsuit, and actually walked up the water, and then jumped off and just completely immersed in water and chaos, and it was fantastic. But it means that we do work well with our partners, and we understand them and they understand what our issues are as well, which is all about team building. So yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to be wrapping up here. A couple of quick questions for you, though.
I've got one for you as well.
Okay. So Barcelona. People, if somebody were to come to visit Barcelona, what's one thing that they should do or experience or eat?
Okay, tapas, obviously.
Yeah.
La Sangra Familia.
Yeah.
Because it's an organically evolving building site of chaos and loveliness.
Yeah.
I managed to get there in May. I've not been inside yet. I was between meetings, and I thought, I've got a couple of hours. Can I get there and back? And I did, and I just sat outside and took in the gorgeous architecture. At Picasso Museum and the Salvador Dali Museum.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the things.
Yeah. All right. So you had a question for me?
I have a question for you. What's the weirdest thing you've experienced since being here? And I know you've not been here long.
Not that too many things are weird. I mean, I would say it's one of the challenges was we were out and about last night. We really had a hard time finding a taxi. That was one of our biggest challenges.
Okay. Download the Cabify app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be much easier.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here on this special edition of the Higher Ed AV podcast.
Thank you for inviting
from
me.
ISE. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Email me.
Okay.
c.pepper@bham.ac.uk.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We look forward to having you again on the next episode of the Higher Ed AV podcast. Until then, we will see you soon. Thanks.
Bye.